And for more on the story, I'm joined on set by our former Moscow correspondent, Elena Volochine. Elena, there hasn't been any confirmation yet on either side, but the evidence, the growing evidence, seems to be pointing at the possibility that the Russian air defense systems were indeed involved.
Yes, there is very little doubt left about the fact that this plane has indeed been hit by shrapnel. It's very visible from these images that we saw from the impacts on the aircraft fuselage, also from the testimonies of surviving crew members. One of them says he has been injured by a sharp element that hit the plane after an impact from the outside. But the Azerbaijani side, on one side, remains very cautious in its phrasing. Azerbaijan Airlines refers to an external physical and technical factor without explicitly mentioning any anti-aircraft missile. On its side, Rosaviation, the Russian Civil Aviation Authority, confirmed from a spokesperson that a drone attack was indeed in progress when the pilot tried to land his plane, and that the carpet plan was activated. So the carpet plan means that the anti-aerial defense was ready to intervene in case of an attack. However, this official does not mention any fire from this anti-aerial system. Instead, he insists that a thick fog also was over the airport, and he stresses that the pilot then decided to divert his plane to Aktau in Kazakhstan, which is 350 kilometers away over the Caspian Sea. So many questions remained after this official statement. If Grozny airspace was closed because of the carpet lane, why the pilot has not been notified of this prior to his attempts to land, why after being damaged by the missile it diverted to Aktau in Kazakhstan instead of trying to land in an airport closer in the south of Russia. In any case, it's clear that the Russians are inclined not to mention the possibility that this plane was fired by the anti-aircraft missile. We heard Dmitry Peskov, Vladimir Putin's spokesperson, who urged not to speculate on the possible causes, and the Russian media stressed that the investigation is still looking into all the possible leads, including the birds or other element without specifying which, or a technical default on the aircraft.
Now, you mentioned how cautious Azerbaijan was being when it was talking about the possibilities or the theories about why this plane went down. Tell us a little bit what could be the impact on the relationship between Azerbaijan and Russia. Those two countries have close ties, but could this have an impact on their relations?
Yes, it definitely could. You're right to mention that Azerbaijan and Russia has a good relation, fairly good and close ties. Vladimir Putin even visited Baku last summer, whereas he's under an arrest warrant from the International Criminal Court. And Azerbaijan is quite grateful to Russia for not having intervened when Baku launched, we remember, this offensive to retake the Armenian enclave of Nagorno-Karabakh. It was last September. The Russian forces were stationed in the region and were supposed to guarantee the ceasefire, but Moscow did not make any move. In fact, I read from an Azerbaijani media outlet, Caliber, the sum up of the diplomatic consequences that this incident or accident could have. Caliber remembers that in November 2020, for example, when the Azerbaijani army had shot down by mistake a Russian helicopter in the border region of Armenia and Azerbaijan, not only Azerbaijan gave official excuses to Russia for this incident, but also offered compensations to the crew members' families. And also Caliber recalls that when Turkey has shot down by accident a Russian military plane in 2016, also it gave excuses to Russia. So Azerbaijan would expect no less from Russia, says the media outlet. But Russia, we must mention this, that has a culture of secrecy, and we also recall that 10 years on, we can't help but reminding this crash of the Malaysia Airlines airplane. It was in 2014 over eastern Ukraine. A Russian missile delivered to the fighting forces by Russia shot down this plane which was carrying 298 passengers. All of them died. Not only Russia always denied responsibility in this crash, but it has also always denied supplying any weapons to this side of the conflict that we call the pro-Russian separatists. And in fact, for 8 years between 2014 and 2022, it It even denied any implication and responsibility in this conflict in eastern Ukraine, whereas we know that the Russian army and secret services have been acting since the very beginning undercover. So now all the question is, with these close ties between Azerbaijan and Russia, what the diplomatic position will be. Maybe from what we can see from today's declaration, both sides are trying to preserve, despite this accident, are trying to preserve its ties.
Thank you very much, Elena Volochine, for that analysis. And we'll, of course, be following this story for more information as soon as we get it.